My name's Melissa Avera, and I love being a realtor. I specialize in real estate in the DFW and surrounding areas, and I also grew up here, so I'm very familiar with the Metroplex. Buying or selling a home can be an extremely stressful task, so I really try to go the extra mile to take that stress out of my clients' hands.
This is Going the Extra Mile. Now, from Friedo Nation Productions in the Caddo Office Reimagined Studios, here's Melissa.
Okay, this is a surprise curveball episode with Melissa Avera and Eric Tomlinson, two of the people that I know they're the biggest, and I'm not exaggerating, the biggest proponents of home ownership and equity and investments and why you need a home. Melissa obviously is a realtor. Eric's a mortgage broker, originator.
Lender.
What do you call yourself?
Lender. Yeah.
Lender. Okay. And I don't disagree with you guys one bit. It makes a ton of sense. And whenever you guys come in here to record, I always feel guilty because I live in an apartment. Okay. And you don't tell me straight out, Friedo, you're doing it wrong. But you explain that, when you're paying rent, you are just throwing your money away.
Yep.
You're not getting any equity. You're not taking advantage of property values increasing. You're not taking advantage of ownership. Let me tell you my specific situation. I'm so excited because I don't think you're going to be able to meet this challenge. Because I want you guys to talk me into how in my situation, because I think I'm different from anyone else, why it makes sense for me to go ahead and get out of the apartment and buy a property, whether it's a townhome or a home. And my situation is this. Number one, I love my apartment. My apartment is small, but my apartment, design-wise, there's only one thing I would change about it. If I was going to design my own custom apartment, just specifically for me, the only thing I would change about it is it's got a bathtub and a separate shower. And I would get rid of the bathtub and just make the shower bigger. Other than that, design is perfect for me. Okay?
Okay.
That's number one. The two things I don't like about my apartment, one is I'm not building equity. And I do recognize that. Okay? But the other thing is I don't have a family. I'm not going to be leaving an estate to my favorite son or daughter or to my grandkids or anything like that. So while equity is important, it's not necessarily as important to me as it would be to a normal person. The thing I really, really do not like about it is being at the mercy of a leasing office to tell me how much my rent's going to be. My lease is up in February. They have not raised my rent since I moved in a couple of years ago.
Oh, it's coming.
Oh, it's coming. I know for sure it's coming. I know for sure it's coming. And that's why this last weekend, I looked at some townhomes. And I got to tell you, I found a townhome that I loved in Allen, where I want to live. That townhome, they just reduced the prices. $423,000 is how much that townhome was. 2,000 square feet, 2 stories, 3 bedrooms. All 3 bedrooms were upstairs. Badass laundry room, badass closet. The closet in the laundry room is basically what would sell me on that townhome. I liked the townhome. But then I started doing the math. The HOA dues for that neighborhood, for that townhome neighborhood, were $295 a month. My electric bill, I'm not even going to talk about the payment, how much more my mortgage would be than my rent, because I don't know what my rent's going to be. I know my rent right now is only $1,500 a month. I know they're going to raise it. There's absolutely no doubt. But when I'm looking at the expenses, and Eric, just the living expenses, it looks like me got your calculator out.
I was getting on some numbers, yeah.
So the way I look at it is the HOA is $295 a month that I'm not paying right now. My electric bill that I'm paying right now is averaging around $75 to $95 a month. In that townhome, it's going to be at least $150, I guess, minimum. So I'm going to increase my electric bill by almost double. My water bill is going to be higher. My homeowner.
Can I tear a sheet of paper off of that?
Yeah.
Sorry, I was not prepared for this
I'm
situation.
sorry. My homeowner's insurance, and this is a question I have for you guys, because the HOA, that $295, does cover the roof.
Right.
So I don't know how much my homeowner's insurance would be. I'm assuming it won't be as much as a house policy,
Right. It would not
but
be.
it's going to be more than my renter's insurance.
Yes, it would probably be more than your renter's insurance, but not as much as a single family house,
Yeah.
likely because that's included in the HOA.
My trash or whatever
Trash
you
and
pay for
water.
that.
Yeah.
So just my expenses alone that it takes to live in that townhome compared to my apartment, I'm assuming it's going to be at least $600 to $800 more just in expenses.
Okay.
Maybe even more since it's a $295 a month HOA.
Okay.
So my thought is that they're going to have to raise my rent quite a bit before it even makes financial sense. Because my thought is if I was disciplined enough, which I'm not, to take the money that I'd be saving, just the cash flow that I'd be saving every month from living in the apartment, just taking that difference and even stashing it underneath my mattress. At the end of 10 years, unless there's a huge property value increase, I'll have just as much cash under my mattress as I would equity in that townhome.
I guarantee you that I'll say this: every client that I've had in the last 18 months who's been in an apartment that has called me, their rent has gone up a minimum of $500, which to me is asinine. I've had at least 5 people call me and say their rent was raised $800 a month.
Yeah.
And I mean, people are paying, easily somewhere between $2,000 and $3,000 a month for an apartment, and that's just dumb.
Well, I'm assuming I'm gonna be paying $2,000 a month.
I would say
I'm
that's a
assuming
good
I'm
assumption.
gonna go from $1,500 to they're gonna raise it to $2,000.
Yeah.
But even at $2,000,
So
because my mortgage on 423 is gonna be.
So I mean, yeah, that's where I come in, right?
Yeah.
But before I even get into that, so there is, I don't even know where to start. There's somewhere a financial advisor could step in and help you with this too. But you have to ask yourself, what is it worth to you to live in that house? What is it worth, right? So
Yeah.
you think about that. Because it might, of course, it's gonna be more than the apartment. But like all that money, like there's some people I worry about this too in my own life. Like I save all this money, and like, am I ever gonna even spend it? Right? So what is it worth to me to live nicer while I have the money to do it?
Yeah.
And it does force you to be a little bit more responsible with your money. But that's the end goal, is to be responsible with money. And so it isn't. The equity isn't stashed under your bed, which is probably a good thing because you can't spend it.
Yeah.
But it is there. And today, you're right. You probably saw some homes that have dropped in value, which is why it's a great time to buy. Because the only reason it dropped in value is because the rates are high. That's it. And I promise you this: the rates will go back down, and your value will go right back up. So it's a good time to buy. If you ever heard the term "buy the dip," this is the dip. We're dipping.
100%.
Yeah, we're dipping. It's a great time. The buyer.
Have we dipped all the way though?
I don't know yet, but if you look at the market today, if we turned on CNBC right there, you'll see everything is in green because yesterday everything was in red. So it's just you either play the market or the market plays you. Period. But historically, there'll be peaks and valleys, and whether it dips again, it doesn't matter because it will go back up.
Well, and the townhome people tell me that they literally dropped their prices by about $60,000.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing is, with what you're looking at, I always tell my clients, I mean, I can't say this enough. If you are in the market to try to buy a new construction, whether home, townhome, whatever it is, the absolute best time of the year to do it is right now at the end of the year, because their fiscal year ends, and if they have inventory sitting there, they will reduce those prices so much. I just got a guy under contract a few weeks ago for a house that was originally listed at like $484, and they're going to get it for $404. And if they go through, like, a lot of times, like, the builders have, their own incentives that they offer to buyers, and they'll offer, like, hey, we'll give you an additional $20,000 or $15,000, and you can either use that to buy down your rate, you can use that off the cost. And so
now here's the thing, and this will be useful for everyone, because their deal, which I'm sure all builders do, and you just kind of brought it up. If I use their mortgage company, $10,000 towards closing costs or upgrades or to buy down a rate, and they said their rates, and this is tricky math, the rates were 5.5%, but the APR was like 6.6.
Okay, so from a lender that's not tied to a builder, which we do have some builder contracts, but you want two quotes, and I'm the lender telling you this. You could shop me, and I'm okay with it, but you should always, so you can see it, and then you have someone, have each other look at the loan estimate, because when there's a big variance, that means they're paying a point or two. So let's say you buy this house for $400,000, and let's say you finance it for $400,000, and he's like, look, we're going to give you $10,000 towards your closing costs, and you're up in arms. That's so great, $10,000. But then you look at the fees, and they charge you 2 points, which is 2%. That's $8,000. So they're really just giving you $2,000, which doesn't even really cover title. So it's not a great deal. And I've seen that happen to personal friends. I'm like, look, I have in-house programs at Supreme where if the seller gives you some money, we can actually, on the front end of your mortgage for the first 2 or 3 years, we can lower the rate 2 to 3% below market. So I could do a 30-year fix today, and the first year your rate's a 4.5, the second year's a 5.5, and the third year's a 6.5, and then it's just fixed for the life of the term. And some people say, well, I don't want to have it adjust, and I'm going to tell you that it'll never adjust. We're just taking the seller concessions and we're applying it towards your mortgage payments
telling what your
on the
max is
front
gonna
end.
be.
Yeah, because we think that you'll save money on the front end, and by the time that your rate goes up to whatever the market is, you're going to refinance when the market is right.
Yeah.
And it will be right, or else the whole economy is going to be in a bad place, and it's just temporary. This is just a Band-Aid for what happened in the past couple of years when the rates were on the floor.
That sounds like a great type of loan.
It is a great loan. It's called a buy-down loan. And so the reason why we can offer it is because we service our loans. And so we have an escrow department that basically helps, they make payments for you your first 2 or 3 years, so you're only on the hook for a part of that payment. So it's a good option to have that not every lender does. And just like the builder has their own in-house, they can give you cash, there's other lenders that can just give you a lower rate. So you got to figure out, again, what is it worth, right? Is it worth to get some incentive, which it might, but a lot of people, if I told them to, write down a hierarchy of importance, it's usually the payment. You got to just look at that. The rate and the payment are usually the top. And so for your situation, again, I don't know which is the best route. And sometimes it does make sense to go with the builder, but not every builder is the same. So it's not like a one-size-fits-all solution.
Well, I'm so skeptical. That just has scam written all over it to me.
Yeah.
I always, like what you said, Eric, I always tell my clients to get a couple of quotes.
Yeah.
Like right now, I have several clients wanting to go the new construction route because they're getting such good deals, right? And it's enticing when they're like, hey, use the builder's lender. And I mean, sometimes that is what makes sense. But if I have any control of it, I'm like, hey, call Eric. Just get another set of eyes on it, see what he can do. And I feel like 9 times out of 10, you give them a better deal.
Yeah, I definitely try because I have the ability to price out my own loans, and that closing, even if I don't make any money on it, it could be a referral that leads to more business. And I love it that we came in here and he's like, I'm curious, that there's a challenge here. I'm very comfortable in my ways. I'm a creature of habit. I pay rent. It's less. And it is. And I've been there, and it's great, but I feel like it is temporary. When you buy, I used to think that I'm not going to buy because I'm not married, I don't have any kids, and I don't want that commitment. But when I finally bought a house and I shifted my thought as not a commitment but like an investment, it changed the game. And now I can never go back. And whether it's good or bad, remains to be seen. But I think that if you decide to make that move, and you taste that different, type of environment, I don't think you'll go back either. But so I don't know if it is the right thing for you to do, to be honest. Mm-hmm. But I mean, if they could let you do a test drive, I think that you would probably do it.
I just always feel like such a loser after you guys leave.
No. Don't feel like that.
Oh my God.
I'm just saying.
Well, because it's not like I've never owned a house.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So right. So yeah, just for me personally, I felt, I'd been in the mortgage industry for over a decade and I hadn't bought just because of that. But then I look at what the returns were, and it was so much better than my 401k, which tanked during the crash. I could have done so many other better things with my money than just let it die. And I'm not good at investing in the market and like doing day trading. I'd be terrible at it because I have a day job. I can't day trade. I'd always be on the wrong end of the fence in that situation. But I do see mortgages every day, and I do see the value in the investment piece of it. I think you will like it, but you also get that investment piece of it, and it does make you, you're forced to be a little bit more responsible with the money. You don't have that extra cash under the bed to do whatever, but sometimes that's a good thing. But it's not always, the purchase is not, I make that clear, it isn't the right situation for everybody. If you don't, like right now, if you plan on, like if you wanted the lowest possible rate, and I say you should buy the rate down because it makes sense in the long run, but if you know you're not going to be there for a year or two, then maybe it's not. Mm-hmm. But if you think that you will keep it for at least 3 years, maybe 3 to 5 years, I think absolutely buy, because you can see it. The best time to buy is when the prices are down, and we're in the winter. It's usually slower, so the prices come down. We're at the end of the year. They're trying to get their rid of their inventory. It's a good time to buy for that sale price alone. There's a lot of cash buyers that are blitzing the market because they don't have to worry about rates, because rates they're not borrowing, they're just spending cash. So you're buying low. And I'm trying to tell people, don't let the rates deter you, because you marry the house, date the rate. Right. The rate will go down. So play the market right. You'll only be on the hook for that high rate for the first 2 years, maybe. With me, you wouldn't even be on the hook for the high rate, because I can get these sellers to pay money. Because here's the thing: when you buy a house, the lender has to make sure the home is worth it. So they do an appraisal, and today they use appraisals based on home sales in the prior months. Well, in the prior months, the home sales are higher than what they are now. So I'm getting appraisals in. A guy gives me, we'll use simple math. A guy does a contract, buys a house for $100,000. Well, the homes were selling for $110,000 3 months ago. So I get an appraisal back, and I say, hey, Mr. Buyer, you're buying this house and you already have $10,000 of equity. So you're already buying this house with $10,000 of equity that you may never use. It's that cash under the bed that you may never use. I'm telling you right now, we can tell the seller we want to increase the sale price and have them give you that $10,000. They should be okay with it, because they're going to net the same amount of money they thought they'd net on 100. You're just using that equity to buy your rate down for those 2 months. It gives you a lower payment. And you're not buying a house. You're not upside down, because you're buying the house truly for what it's worth. So the sellers are flexible. The buyer is at the advantage now, because they're having the seller buy down the rate. And when the seller buys down the rate, it's all up front. If you, the buyer, was to buy down your own rate, that's for the life of the term. It doesn't move the needle that much. We're servicing the loan. We're going to put all that seller concession on the front for those first couple of years, so you're never subject to the rates in the high 6s or low 7s.
Well, then the other thing that both of you have alluded to here, and you and I have talked about this, Melissa, is it's not necessarily just the investment portion; it's the living portion.
100%.
And I can tell you, like when my ex-wife and I got our pool for our house, my ex-wife was like, "You know what? We'll get our money back with it." I'm like, "No, we won't. We won't get our money back with it. But you know what we'll have? We'll have a pool that we can use every day that we're going to enjoy."
Yeah.
Right.
So it doesn't matter whether we get our money back. I want a damn pool.
Right. Yeah. I mean, you have to think about that. Like, sure. I mean, it's my job and it's your job. I mean, to help people make smart financial decisions. Like, I never want somebody to buy if they're going to be house poor. No, I'll talk you out of it all day long. But like Eric said, right now we are in a dip. And it's crazy how quickly things have changed. But it's just like I'm trying to buy myself because I see it. I take advantage of the market when it's that way. And kind of to your point, it's like, right? A lot of the things like I think about too, it's like, sure, I want a house on the West Coast, or something. And it's like, you're going to pay a premium for that. But it's just like, if it's something I want and I want to make it happen, I can't take it with me.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
Right? So it's just like, I would rather invest my money into something that is going to 100% appreciate and, leave that for my daughter or leave whatever, or be able to, I mean, I've had clients buy in the last 2 years, new construction, and then call me and say, hey, Melissa, I need you to sell it. And I'm like, ugh, you haven't been there that long. And they're making over $100,000 in profit.
Yeah.
So it's, I mean, I think timing is right. And to what you said, Eric, I mean, the trends in real estate, it's always hotter in the spring and summer, right? It's always more competition to buy. It's always better to buy in the fall and winter. And that's when I've bought both of my properties.
Me too.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just think with me, I know I'm different. I know that my situation...
In the best way.
My situation is different from probably about 95% of the people. Yeah. It's not like I don't like my apartment. It's not like I've had bad experiences. Like I said, if I were to design a place for me, it would almost be exactly what I have right now.
Yeah.
But there are certain things that I know that I'm missing out on.
Yeah, especially the fact that they can change the payment. So you're like, I don't want to spend, $600 more a month on a house. I could just save that money, and then next thing you know, next year your rent goes up $500 a month. And so,
I don't like the stress.
Yeah, right.
The unknown.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, to pull the curtain way far back, and this is going to sound dramatic. It's not. I've told Melissa this, but I recently had a hospital stay where I was told I only had 3 months to live.
Whoa.
And I got to tell you, in a lot of ways, knowing you only have 3 months to live makes living a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about
Go do all the
You
crap
don't have to worry about
Yeah.
your next lease.
It's a great, yeah.
It's like,
Very good point.
but then
I
I'll
love that
find
you
out
have that attitude.
then I'll find out the diagnosis is wrong, and all of a sudden I'm like, God dang it!
Well, damn it, I'm going to live.
I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do with this damn apartment.
Yeah. What am I going to... Yeah.
I love the way you
I gotta
think.
start making my car payment again.
Yeah, right. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, wow, I'm excited to see what you end up doing then.
I like the thought.
Yeah.
I really do like the thought of buying a place, and y'all have done a good job of. I still think it necessarily makes financial sense for me right now.
I
my
bet your
position.
costs would not be that much different.
Well, I didn't even bring up the property tax though when we were doing our math, because property tax on
So they're going to be
Fort.
But the property taxes on an attached property are going to be lower than a single family detached.
Well, it's a detached townhome. Is that different?
It's a detached townhome?
Yeah, they're not. It's like
a
do you
row
call it-
house.
Do you call it a zero lot line? or-
Oh, really? So it's not attached.
No, it's not
There's
attached.
no walls attached. There's not like a 4-unit property.
No,
or
but
something?
they're like 4 inches away from each other.
Oh, really?
I mean, I'm exaggerating
Yeah.
a little
Right.
bit, but
So I wonder. Well, okay. Then I wonder what size the lot is. I mean,
Probably zero lot line.
yeah.
Oh.
So you again. So for that, I mean, your taxes will be condensed because of that. But also you get tax deductions.
Well, I know.
Yeah. So there is that as well. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I still think at the end of the day, it's like, what is it? What is it worth?
These townhomes. I mean, the one I looked at was really badass. It was really good. Two-car garage and.
Yeah.
Well, and the thing you also have to think about, even though, right, you're thinking about buying because renting is totally uncertain. Like, your rent's going to go up.
Yeah.
And, I mean, let's face it, the cost of everything has gone up. Energy, all the stuff. So it's going to be more. Like, sure, your electric bill and things like that might be more, but I'll tell you this. I've had all my clients who have gone from, and me personally, when I My last apartment I lived in was a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment, like 700 square feet. And then I bought a 2,000 square foot house. And my electric bills at my house were always never even close to what I paid in my apartment.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the house was built so energy efficient. And these builders,
The newer, the more
they
efficient. Yeah.
pride themselves on that.
Yeah.
Like, and they'll give you like, hey, this is average cost, right, for things. And it's like, you know, they have all the smart stuff, the tankless water heater, all the foam insulation stuff that it just makes it so energy efficient. I mean, I have people who have 4,000 square foot new construction homes, and their electric bills are, I mean, you laugh. They're so low.
Yeah.
And these are people like family of 5, right? I mean,
I was the same. I lived in Uptown and had these great, really cool big windows, which is great. But the electricity bill was much higher than my house bill, and my house is 1,000 square feet bigger. And I was paying. My roommate had he was laid off, so I had to front the bill, and my rent at the time was close to about $1,500 as well. But the mortgage payment now versus that is only a few $100 more than what I was spending on rent.
yeah.
And so that was worth it to me. In my head, I was like, well, maybe I just don't put so much in my 401k that's going straight downhill every month, and I just apply it towards the house. And mentally, I was okay with that. And the other mental part was, if I found out that I just bit off more than I can chew, I realized I could just sell it for what I bought it for or higher.
more.
So
I could
heck,
just
in
get
the last episode that you did with Melissa, you brought up the fact
Yeah.
that you're almost to the point now
Yeah.
where you're going to tell your clients, look, if you don't like it, I'll buy it from
Yeah.
you.
Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
I'm almost to the same point,
Yeah.
like some of these people. And I mean, you got to think too, like on new construction, the good thing about that is even if you bought something and then 2 or 3 years you were just like, you know what, I want to go back to apartment living. This isn't for me for whatever reason. Like, I feel like you're not going to have any trouble selling it because it's still pretty much a brand new house.
Yeah.
It comes, all these builders offer, you know, like 10-year structural warranties, all these things. So it's like that would be transferable to whoever buys it. So that gives people peace of mind. Like, hey, I'm getting a new house and it's still under.
We'll end this on what I think is a funny story about me. So about 3 weeks ago, my key fob for my gate in my apartment wasn't working. So I went down to the leasing office, and I'm the quietest tenant on the face of the earth. I've been to that leasing office maybe 3 times in 2 years. Mm-hmm. And so I go down there, and they're going to reprogram the fob while I wait. And while I'm standing there, there's a maintenance guy that's in the office. And I said to him, hey, this is kind of embarrassing, but I don't even own a stepladder, and I need to change a couple light bulbs. Can I borrow a stepladder from you for like 30 minutes? And I'll just bring it right back down. And he looked at me and just said, no. And I looked at him like, how rude.
Yeah.
Right.
You know, yeah, I never say no.
Stepladder. Come
Yeah.
on.
I never say no. I said, seriously, I'll bring just 30 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
He said, no. And then he smiled and he goes, you must have moved here from a house. And I said, yes. He goes, here, you don't change your light bulbs. We change your light bulbs. And I said, well, and he said, you don't even buy your light bulbs. We've got them. So all you do is you get on the app, you fill out a work order, and we'll be there. And
I don't
so
know, that's the problem with society today. All these people don't know how to do anything.
So what happened was, I get in the elevator. They reprogram my fob. I live on the 4th floor. I get in the elevator, hit the 4 button, and on the elevator ride from the 1st floor to the 4th floor, I scheduled that service appointment.
Nice.
And I get back to my apartment, and within half an hour, there's a knock at my door. And it's a maintenance guy,
Nice.
and he comes in, and he says, do you mind if we check your air filter on your AC? And I was like, well, no, that's fine. I don't know why you asked permission. And he pulls up my air filter and says, you've never had maintenance come up here, have you? And I said, no. And he said, I can tell because the way we change air filters, is just whenever someone calls us for a disposal or, to fix something in their apartment,
Right.
we'll change their air filter. This one is your original air filter from 2018. It's never been changed.
Yep.
So, anyways.
Was your So and you learn that. I learned that being a homeowner, because I was like, your bill is going to go higher because it's trying to get the air's trying to get through all that mess.
It's all those basic things that nobody, like, people just. I try to tell clients, like, it is important to do that. Like, set a reminder in your phone or your calendar every 3 months, 4 months, whatever. Just, hey, change your air filter.
Does.
Nowadays, like most of the technology, it will say it on the keypad or the
thermostat.
Like, hey, change filter.
Well, and Melissa knows this about me. I'm so skeptical. I assume that the minute I leave my apartment, that the maintenance people are having a big party inside my apartment. They've got access.
Yeah, right.
They've got a key. So I just figured that they were coming in and doing that type of stuff anyway.
Having a rager.
Home ownership, it'll force you to be financially and domestically responsible.
Yeah.
For sure. But, yeah.
All right. Well, you've got me kind of leaning a little bit now, so.
Well, I think
you met the challenge.
You just have to ask yourself, like, what is it worth to you, right? Like, I mean, there's a total difference, and I think because all of us have lived there, like, there's a total difference between apartment living and, like, living in a single-family home or townhome or whatever.
And fortunately, I haven't had the real bad part about apartment living.
Yeah.
I haven't had bad neighbors or...
I did loans for personal friends that are financial advisors that bought the house at a good price. And when everything inflated, they said, look, I'm going to sell it. And they made a ton of money, and they're renting now because they're waiting for the dip, though. And so I have a feeling they're all going to jump back in now.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they are.
If they're smart.
No, they will, and they will. And so again, renting isn't, I don't want to say renting is terrible. It just depends on the situation. So in his situation, he's like, I'll just use the proceeds and I could live on that for 5 years. And he's like, I'm not going to do that, but I'm just going to wait until prices go down. And so, yeah, it just depends on the time that you're looking at. And I think right now is a good time because the prices are going down. And
I think too, there's so much, again, like just uncertainty or fear in people in the market because rates have gone up drastically and things have changed so quickly. But I'm telling people, like, guys, it's all, to me, it's almost a wash. I mean, rates are more now, but home prices are lower, right? So it's just kind of a trade-off, right? And then it's like if you take advantage of the incentives for year end, especially with builders reducing their home prices and all that, it's just like you're going to be in a better position. I think so many people get stuck on like, oh, I want a $2,000 a month payment. Right, and they're very payment, and that's how most of my clients are.
They're that way until I tell them, okay, well, this is how much house you're going to get for $2,000 a month.
Well, and like I have a client right now who, they keep wanting to pull the trigger, and I think they're doing it. They're like, we're good, let's sign, and then they're like, nope, hold on. I don't want my payment to be $2,100. And I'm like, well, then go rent a 1-bedroom, 1-bathroom apartment in this area for $1,800, and it's not even nice, And then it's like, you pay. It's like you get what you pay for. Like, do you want to live in a crappy place and pay rent, or spend maybe $200 to $500 more a month, depending, and have something that is yours, where you're comfortable, where you're happy? Like, to me, that's something you can't put a price on.
By the way, Friedo Finance tells you that, no, it's not $500 a month or more. It's about $15 a day.
Oh, yeah.
So for $15 a day, would you rather live in a place you like?
I won't buy that expensive lunch
It's
today.
just $15 a day.
When I think of it that way, I'm like, hell yes.
Yeah.
Like, I will. I can change my ways.
Yeah, it's what it's worth.
It's like the latte factor, right? Like,
what is the latte factor?
Well, people who drive through Starbucks and get their $8 coffee every day. It's like compounded over time.
Yeah.
Like how much money you throw away.
$8 beer night.
Starbucks loves those comparisons, by the way.
Oh, I know.
Brought to you by
All right, well, thank you guys.
Oh, this is great. Thanks,
good.
Mark.
Thanks.
If you have questions about buying, selling, renting, or investing, don't go at it alone. Reach out to Melissa at 214-280-4317 or melissa@melissamovesdfw.com. You can find out more about the Melissa Avera Realty Group at TVG by visiting melissamovesdfw.com. Thank you for listening to Going the Extra Mile.